Making television can be quite difficult, even more so during programs with live broadcasts. Despite the planned script, many unforeseen events can happen, and you cannot simply touch it up in the edit. If the broadcast is declared over, everyone will notice that things got out of control. Over the years, there have been truly catastrophic moments that, if they had not been recorded, you would not even believe. That is exactly what we are going to see here today. During a broadcast on the sales channel QVC, Quality Value Convenience, the presenters were showing a puncture-proof inflatable mattress. The queen-size model had just gone on sale. From $146, it dropped to $131.95. It was easy to set up, comfortable, and above all, resistant to punctures. To prove it, the two presenters decided to climb onto the mattress and do a live demonstration. Only the confidence went a bit over the limit. While they said that the product was 40% more resistant than common ones, one of them, wearing high heels, burst the mattress with a loud bang, knocking them both onto the studio floor.
This one is actually 40% more puncture resistant. So if you've got pets, love it, and I have heels.
Except for that one time.
Despite the awkward mood, her colleague tried to save the situation, saying that maybe it was not the best idea to get on those mattresses with such a pointy heel. The video circulates to this day because it shows exactly how live television is so unpredictable. You never know when a detail will turn a normal commercial into a hilarious disaster. That pop ended up being more remembered than any sales argument. During the Cold War, Poland was under martial law with heavy censorship. On state television, only programs approved by the communist regime of General Wojciech Jaruzelski went on the air. But in September of 1985, residents of the city of Torun were surprised by a scene totally off script. While they watched a movie, suddenly a short and direct message appeared on the screen saying, "Enough of price increases, lies, and repression." It was the motto of the Independent Union Solidarity, a movement that had been bothering the Polish government for years.
280 tysięcy ton węgla. Nie było większych kłopotów z dostawą węglarek do kopalń, ponieważ w górnictwie...
The people responsible were astronomers and scientists from the University of Torun. Using improvised equipment such as cables, antennas, and parts hard to find in the country at that time, they created a transmitter capable of synchronizing with state television and inserting messages over the programming. Days later, they repeated the feat during the main newscast, this time calling for a boycott of the elections controlled by the regime. Only the boldness did not last long. The police traced the signal to the house of Professor John Hanash, the group's leader. He and other people involved were arrested and convicted, but they served light sentences compared to the risk they took. There is no original recording of this broadcast hijacking, only reconstructions made years later. But the episode went down in history as a rare moment when ordinary citizens managed to circumvent repression and remind those in front of the television that censorship is never absolute. During a live broadcast on Spanish television, a weird detail made many people swear that they had just watched the definitive proof of the existence of the famous reptilian aliens. The case happened in 2018 and gained traction the following year when the video started to make the rounds on YouTube. In it, a reporter appears speaking normally until, when he blinks, the white part of his eyes changes color and seems to turn into a second pair of pupils. That was enough to ignite the comments. Some said it was a transmission bug or image glitch. Others swore it was a second eyelid, that of reptiles, characteristic of the supposed appearance that is part of the theories about hybrids between humans and reptilian beings. It was not the first time this happened. Any transmission glitch ends up fueling those who believe that important figures in the media and politics hide another form behind human skin. The video in question already adds up to millions of views and continues to be used as proof in conspiracist forums and channels. Officially, there was never confirmation of anything beyond an image failure. But it is a fine example of how one odd second can totally change the focus of the newscast to the wildest theories on the internet. In tennis tournaments, the tension is usually high. But in 2016, during the Fed Cup, a competition between countries, the match between Israel and Estonia ended up gaining a comedy scene live. The Israelis Julia Glushko and Shahar Peer faced Valeria Gorlats and Maylene Nudi of Estonia. The point was balanced until Glushko returned a totally off-balance ball, sending a high, slow lob, one of those that seems like an invitation for the opponent to finish the rally in style. Gorlats got into position, raised her racket, and completely missed the ball. The mistake would already be embarrassing by itself, but Julia Glushko simply could not hold back her laughter. She turned her back to the court, tried to take a deep breath, but the more she tried to compose herself, the more the laughter came back. Even at the moment of serving, with a break point against her, she had to drop the ball and step away because she could not stop laughing. The audience followed along between guffaws and applause, turning that point lost by Estonia into one of the most watched moments of the Fed Cup. The video hit hundreds of thousands of views and to this day continues to circulate as a rare example of lightness in this very serious sport. Imagine being on a morning television show, taking part in an innocent magic trick when everything goes wrong. That really happened during a Polish program. That day, the guest was Marcin Polonowicz, a semi-finalist on Poland's Got Talent. His trick consisted of 4 paper bags, one of them hiding a huge nail. The magician should guess which ones were empty and, to prove confidence, asked the host Marzena Rogalska to use her own hand in the challenge. The problem is that Marcin got mixed up. On the air, in front of millions, he slammed Marzena's hand down hard onto one of the bags, precisely the one that hid the nail. The host screamed in pain and, as she lifted her hand, the entire studio saw what had happened. In shock, the magician even tried to fix it, pulling out the nail, while Marzena writhed and complained of pain, needing to be taken straight to the hospital. Fortunately, she received care and later reassured the audience by saying she was fine. As for the magician, well, we could say his last trick was disappearing, or who knows, a change of profession, because it will be hard to trust him after that fiasco. During coverage of the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II in September of 2022, the live broadcast by ITV, independent television, was marked by a detail that left many people uncomfortable. While the presenter Tom Bradby narrated aerial images of the funeral procession leaving London, a female whisper suddenly came into the audio.
Death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped.
As you can see,
The phrase seemed to say something like, "Death is irreversible and the fact that she is trapped." The sound lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough to generate a wave of comments on social networks. Many people swore that the voice resembled that of Princess Diana, which fueled bizarre theories that it was some kind of ghost message in the middle of the broadcast. Others tried to bring more down-to-earth explanations. One internet user suggested it might just be a technical problem, like crossed lines with another channel. Another hypothesis raised was that a microphone in the studio had been left open by accident, picking up a side conversation. Curiously, minutes earlier, the psychotherapist Julia Samuel, who is godmother to Prince George, had taken part in the coverage. She spoke precisely about how accepting death is an irreversible process and how watching the funeral helped people face this new reality. That made the coincidence even more intriguing. ITV never officially clarified what happened. What is known is that the audio exists and can be heard in the recording. For some, it was just a technical glitch. For others, the most spine-tingling moment of the entire ceremony. During an interview on Thai television, the model Thipawan Pui Chapupuang said she was constantly being possessed by a local spirit called Pop, a ghost famous in the country's legends, known for endless hunger. According to Pui herself, it all would have started a year earlier, during a trip to Rayong, when she was possessed for the first time in the bathroom. The interview actually started well, but Pui began to act strangely, saying that the spirit had returned at that moment. Suddenly, she changed her tone of voice and began to answer as if she were that ghost. The dialogue was so weird it left many people uncomfortable. The spirit said things like, "I am hungry, I want blood," while the host tried to negotiate. He even suggested the ghost accept pig's blood, but the answer was negative.
ไอ้ยุ่งอะไรกับกูนักหนาจะพากูมาทำไมเนี่ยฮะคุณเป็นใครนะฮะขอโทษที
ตอนนี้อยู่ไหม
เอ้ย
คือสัมภาษณ์กันยังไงต่อผมเอาพระให้คุณไหม
โอ้ยเดี๋ยวไม่ได้
The scene got even more bizarre when the host put a necklace with the image of Buddha around her neck in an attempt to expel the entity. Pui then began to contort herself, let out screams and disconnected phrases. The video exploded on social networks and racked up millions of views in a short time, but most comments did not buy the story. Many said it was just acting. Some even joked that she would end up using the fame to sell products online. Whether a hoax or not, the performance became one of the strangest moments ever broadcast live. During a sports broadcast in England, the game was already over at the Stadium of Light, home of Sunderland, and the Monday Night Football crew was doing its post-match analysis. Phil Neville and Jamie Carragher were talking normally when something caught attention in the background. While they discussed the players' performance, a shadow crossed the field. At first glance, it looked like a staffer tending the grass, perhaps pushing some equipment, but a few seconds later, the figure simply vanished. No walking to the sideline or leaving the scene, it just disappeared into thin air. The detail is that it happened live, in front of millions of viewers. The commentators did not notice anything, but the audience began to explode on social networks. Some people asked if they had also seen the groundskeeper ghost. Others joked that the stadium needed an exorcism. The video was reviewed several times. At one moment, the shadow seemed to repeat the same previous movement, as if it were a loop, and soon after, it vanished again. No official explanation was given, and the presenters did not comment on the subject either. Whether it was a transmission failure, a strange reflection, or something beyond that, it was never clear. But that match analysis ended up marked by one of the most talked about apparitions in sports television. In 2006, the Belgian public television RTBF, Radio Télévision Belge de la Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles, interrupted its programming with a breaking news bulletin. The news was shocking, saying that the Dutch-speaking part of the country had declared independence, leading to a national crisis. The bulletin showed strong images, with politicians being interviewed, the royal family supposedly evacuated, and even crowds waving Flanders flags. It all seemed real. In a short time, the broadcaster's website crashed from the number of accesses, and a telephone line created to serve the public received more than 2,500 calls. The detail is that none of that had happened. It was a mockumentary planned for 2 years by the journalist Philippe Dutilleux under the codename Bye Bye Belgium. The idea was to provoke debate about the growth of separatism, which had been gaining political strength since the 2000s. Only after half an hour on the air did the broadcaster put up a notice saying that it was a staging. The impact, however, was already done. Many viewers felt deceived, and political leaders from all regions called the initiative irresponsible. Even Jean-Claude Juncker, then Prime Minister of Luxembourg, spoke out against the hoax. The producers compared the experience to the famous broadcast by Orson Welles in 1938, when a radio program convinced part of the listeners that Earth was being invaded by Martians. But just like at that time, it became obvious that playing with real-time news can generate much more panic than reflection. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.